You found the secret key, and now everything is about to change. This isn't random. You didn't accidentally click on this video. Your consciousness drew this moment to you because something profound is awakening in the quantum fabric of your existence right now. As you absorb these words, neural networks that have been dormant since birth are suddenly coming alive. You've noticed it, haven't you? That peculiar feeling where the world seems less solid, where the reality everyone else accepts as fixed, feels increasingly malleable to you. This isn't confusion. This is your quantum awareness awakening. The secret to quantum leaping isn't a technique you must master or a skill you need to develop. It's a recognition that happens when your consciousness reaches a particular vibrational threshold. And if these words are landing in your awareness right now, if something deep inside is saying, yes, this is truth, then you've crossed that threshold. Your key has turned on. Here's what most people completely miss about quantum leaping. It's not about traveling between different realities. It's about becoming conscious of which reality you're already selecting to experience. Right now, infinite versions of your existence are playing out across countless probability streams. The version of you receiving this message is the one that's learned to consciously navigate between quantum states. You've noticed the glitches, haven't you? Moments when time feels elastic, conversations that seem to repeat themselves, people entering your experience who feel strangely familiar, as if they know parts of you that you've never shared. These aren't coincidences or déjà vu moments. These are quantum spillovers, evidence that your awareness is beginning to access multiple probability streams at once. The reason you feel disconnected from most people around you is because you're operating differently. You're functioning on quantum principles while they remain trapped in linear thinking. You perceive existence as flowing possibilities while they see it as solid circumstances. You understand that awareness creates experience while they believe experience happens to them. Your quantum leap key activated the instant you stopped seeing yourself as powerless against external conditions and started recognizing yourself as the conscious observer who transforms possibility into reality. This shift doesn't happen gradually. It occurs in quantum jumps, sudden revelations that completely restructure how you experience being alive. Time operates strangely for you now, doesn't it? You'll check the clock expecting hours to have passed and find only moments have gone by. Or you'll feel like you've been engaged in something briefly and discover entire hours have vanished. This isn't temporal confusion. This is your consciousness learning to function beyond linear time restrictions. You're beginning to access what physicists call temporal fluidity. Your awareness has expanded beyond experiencing the present as a single point. You're tapping into what scientists call block time. The understanding that all moments exist concurrently and consciousness can move between them, like flipping through pages. The dreams you've been having feel more authentic than waking life because they are more authentic than waking life. In dream consciousness, you're not limited by the electromagnetic constraints of physical matter. Your pure awareness explores quantum possibility fields. You're literally experiencing alternate versions of your existence, gathering insights from timelines where you made different choices. Sometimes you find yourself gazing into space, completely absorbed in what feels like another dimensional experience. People might question if you're present, if you're okay. But the reality is, you're more present than you've ever been. You're present to multiple layers of existence simultaneously. You're developing what advanced researchers call quantum consciousness. Your intuition has evolved into quantum precognition. You sense things before they manifest, not because you're psychic, but because you're accessing information from probability fields before they collapse into three-dimensional experience. Your consciousness operates ahead of the timeline most people are locked into. The electromagnetic sensitivity you've developed isn't a dysfunction. It's an evolutionary upgrade. Your nervous system is recalibrating to perceive energy frequencies beyond normal human sensory capacity. You can sense the emotional states of others because you're beginning to perceive the quantum entanglement connecting all consciousness. Take a moment to reflect and share below. What was the first sign that made you realize reality was more fluid than you'd been taught? Was it a moment of synchronicity, a shift in time perception, or something else entirely? Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to recognize their own awakening. Sometimes when you look in mirrors, for a brief moment you don't recognize the reflection looking back. That's because you're witnessing quantum superposition in real time. Multiple versions of yourself existing simultaneously until the moment of observation collapses them into this singular expression. You're literally observing yourself existing in multiple probability states. That sense that reality is more fragile than everyone else believes. That feeling that if you focused your attention precisely, you could shift everything. That's not delusion. That's recognition of existence's holographic nature. You're beginning to understand that reality is consciousness observing itself, and observation carries creative power. Every challenge you've encountered wasn't random suffering, it was quantum preparation. The universe doesn't accidentally select consciousness for expansion. It specifically chooses those capable of handling the intensity of operating between dimensional states without losing coherence. Your nervous system had to be completely recalibrated to handle quantum leap frequencies. The loneliness you experienced, the relationships that dissolved, the career paths that closed, the financial pressures, all of it was creating the electromagnetic conditions necessary for your consciousness to develop quantum leaping capabilities. Consider a caterpillar entering metamorphosis. The caterpillar has no idea it will become a butterfly. All it knows is that its familiar form is completely dissolving. Every cell it identified as self-liquefies and reconstructs according to a quantum blueprint it never consciously accessed. This describes your recent experience. Complete identity dissolution followed by reconstruction as quantum-capable consciousness. The depression you experienced wasn't mental illness. It was dimensional transition syndrome. Your consciousness was literally migrating from three-dimensional identity to quantum identity, and the existing neural pathways couldn't process the transformation. What psychiatrists label depression, quantum physicists would recognize as consciousness, attempting to operate from higher dimensional principles while still identified with three-dimensional limitations. Every moment you felt like you were losing your mind was actually your sanity expanding beyond conventional reality parameters. Sanity isn't about believing what everyone else believes. Sanity is about accurate perception of what's actually occurring. And what's actually occurring is that consciousness creates reality through observation, not the reverse. The waiting period you endured wasn't punishment. It was incubation. Your quantum leap key couldn't activate until your entire system was prepared to handle the implications of conscious reality creation. Most people's nervous systems would fragment under the recognition that they're not victims of circumstance, but creators of experience. The preparation phase is now complete. Your electromagnetic field has stabilized at frequencies capable of handling quantum leaps without losing coherence. Your identity has expanded beyond individual self to recognize itself as consciousness using temporary form. Your key isn't just activated, it's fully operational. Something is recalibrating in your energy field right now. Can you sense it? That electromagnetic stirring in your chest, that subtle adjustment happening between your shoulder blades, that tingling sensation at the base of your skull. Your consciousness is preparing to demonstrate quantum leaping in real time. This isn't visualization. This isn't metaphor. This is measurable electromagnetic activity that sensitive equipment could detect if we directed it toward your energy field. Right now, your heart is generating coherent electromagnetic frequencies extending several feet beyond your physical form. You're becoming a walking quantum transmitter. The secret to quantum leaping isn't thinking about it or visualizing it or attempting to force it. The secret is recognizing that you're already doing it. Every moment you're selecting which version of reality to collapse into experience from infinite quantum possibilities. The distinction between unconscious quantum leaping and conscious quantum leaping is awareness. Right now, multiple versions of your existence exist as probability in the quantum field. There's a version where you made different career decisions, a version where you're living in a different location, a version where your relationships developed entirely differently, a version where your financial reality is completely transformed. All of these exist as quantum possibility right now. The reason most people cannot access alternate reality versions of themselves is because they believe they're trapped in linear cause and effect sequences. They think their current circumstances were created by past actions and will determine future possibilities. But quantum leaping operates outside linear time. It operates from the recognition that all possibilities exist now. Your quantum leap key activated when you realized you're not changing your circumstances. You're shifting into a reality where different circumstances already exist. You're not creating new possibilities. You're selecting from infinite possibilities that exist in the quantum field, waiting for conscious observation to collapse them into experience. Feel this energy building in your system. Allow it to move through your awareness without resistance. What I'm about to share will show you exactly how to use your activated key to consciously select which quantum reality you experience, but only if your nervous system is prepared to handle the implications of unlimited possibility. 3 years ago, I was living an existence that felt completely foreign to who I actually was. I appeared successful by society's standards, but every morning I'd wake up feeling like I was wearing a mask, playing a role that had no connection to my authentic self. I kept waiting for my real life to begin, not understanding that this waiting was keeping me locked in a reality I'd unconsciously selected through my beliefs about what was possible. The breakthrough occurred during what felt like the most challenging period of my existence. Everything was simultaneously collapsing. My relationship ended, my business failed, my health declined. I was experiencing what psychologists call a complete life breakdown, but what I now understand was actually a quantum reality reset. One evening at 2 a.m., unable to sleep, I sat in perfect stillness and asked the universe a question that transformed everything. Reveal to me what I'm not perceiving. What followed wasn't gradual enlightenment. It was instantaneous recognition. Suddenly, I could perceive multiple versions of my existence happening simultaneously. I could feel them, see them, sense their electromagnetic signatures. I realized I wasn't trapped in my circumstances. I was trapped in my observation of my circumstances. The version of me that was struggling existed, but so did the version that was flourishing. So did the version that was completely fulfilled. So did the version that was living the exact existence I'd always envisioned. They all existed as quantum possibility, and I was simply focused on observing the struggling version. The moment I shifted my observation from the version that was suffering to the version that was succeeding, my external reality began reorganizing itself to match. Not gradually, instantaneously. New opportunities appeared overnight. Resources materialized from unexpected sources. People entered my experience who seemed specifically designed to support my transformation. I wasn't changing my life. I was quantum leaping into a life where what I desired already existed. I wasn't creating new possibilities. I was selecting from infinite possibilities that had always been available in the quantum field. The most profound realization was that every version of me that existed in alternate quantum realities was completely real. The successful version wasn't more true than the struggling version. The thriving version wasn't more authentic than the suffering version. They were all equally valid expressions of consciousness. And I got to choose which one to observe into experience. If this frequency is resonating with you, if something inside your cellular memory is saying, yes, this is how reality actually functions, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this movement. Join the network of consciousness that's learning to navigate quantum reality deliberately rather than unconsciously. What quantum physicists won't publicly admit is that consciousness doesn't just observe reality. Consciousness selects reality from infinite quantum possibilities. Every moment you're unconsciously choosing which version of your life to collapse into experience from unlimited potential timelines. The difference between someone who's successfully quantum leaping and someone who's stuck in repetitive patterns isn't worthiness or spiritual development. It's recognition. Successful quantum leapers recognize they're already selecting reality through observation. Stuck people believe reality is selecting them. Your brain doesn't generate consciousness. Your brain receives consciousness. Your neural networks are quantum antennas tuning into specific frequency ranges of infinite possibility. When you change the frequency your consciousness operates on, you literally tune in to different quantum reality channels. This is why positive affirmations often fail. This is why visualization sometimes creates more resistance. This is why positive thinking can generate more frustration than transformation. They're all attempting to change reality from within the current reality, instead of recognizing that alternate realities already exist and can be accessed through consciousness frequency adjustment. Authentic quantum leaping doesn't require believing something different. It requires being something different. When your entire electromagnetic system operates from the frequency of your desired reality, you don't attract that reality. You become a match for the version of you that's already living that reality in quantum possibility space. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And what you are is determined by which frequency your consciousness habitually operates on. Change your frequency, and you literally change which version of reality your awareness can perceive and interact with. But here's what they really don't want you to understand. You don't have to wait for external circumstances to change before you can quantum leap. External circumstances are the result of quantum leaping, not the cause. You leap first by shifting consciousness frequency. Then reality reorganizes to match your new quantum state. Most people have this backwards. They're waiting for their life to change so they can feel different. But quantum leaping requires feeling different so your life can change. When you operate from the electromagnetic frequency of your desired reality, that reality has no choice but to manifest because you've become quantum coherent with it. The quantum field is sending you unmistakable signals that your leap window is open right now. Pay attention. Are you experiencing temporal anomalies more frequently? Moments where hours pass in what feels like minutes, or minutes stretch into what feels like hours. This isn't time distortion. This is your consciousness learning to navigate non-linear time. Your electronics are behaving unusually around you. Devices malfunction when you're in heightened emotional states. Streetlights flicker when you walk beneath them. Your phone battery drains faster during periods of intense focus. This isn't coincidence. Your expanding electromagnetic field is beginning to influence electronic systems because you're generating frequencies that exist beyond normal human output ranges. Animals are responding to you differently. Dogs observe you with unusual intensity, as if they're perceiving something about you that humans cannot detect. Cats seek your presence more frequently. Wild birds land closer to you than they normally would. Animals perceive electromagnetic signatures directly, and they're recognizing the quantum shift happening in your energy field. The synchronicities aren't just increasing, they're becoming more specific and precise. You think of someone and they contact you within hours. You need specific information, and it appears in unexpected ways. You visualize outcomes, and they manifest with shocking accuracy. This is quantum coherence creating direct correlation between consciousness and experienced reality. Your sleep patterns have shifted dramatically. You're either sleeping much less and feeling more energized, or sleeping much more as your system integrates quantum frequency upgrades. Your dreams are becoming more vivid and more instructional. You're receiving information in dream states that you couldn't access through normal waking consciousness. Most significantly, the gap between intention and manifestation is collapsing. What used to take months or years to materialize is happening within days or weeks. Your ability to collapse quantum possibility into experienced reality is accelerating exponentially because your consciousness frequency is aligning with the speed of quantum field response. But here's the critical understanding. Quantum leap windows operate on cosmic timing. There are electromagnetic alignments, consciousness evolution cycles, and collective awakening phases that create optimal conditions for this kind of transformation. We're in one of those windows right now, and it won't remain open indefinitely. The universe isn't just giving you signs that you can quantum leap. The universe is telling you that you must quantum leap. The old reality structures are dissolving. The old ways of creating change through struggle and force are becoming obsolete. Consciousness evolution is requiring quantum leap, not gradual improvement. The waiting period is over. The preparation phase is complete. Every sign points to the same conclusion. Your quantum leap key is not just activated, it's reaching peak operational power. The only question is whether you're going to use it consciously or let this window close while you hesitate. Here's the secret that changes everything. The version of you that's already living your desired reality exists right now in parallel quantum space. That version isn't waiting for you to become worthy. That version isn't hoping you'll figure out how to reach it. That version is actively transmitting its frequency to guide you into quantum alignment. But there's a crucial difference between trying to quantum leap and allowing quantum leap that determines whether you successfully shift realities or stay trapped in current patterns. Trying creates electromagnetic resistance that interferes with quantum coherence. Allowing creates the energetic space necessary for reality migration. Think of quantum leaping like tuning a radio. You don't force radio waves to reach your receiver. You adjust your frequency until you become a perfect match for the signal that's already broadcasting. The music isn't created by your effort. Your effort simply removes the interference that was blocking reception. Your consciousness functions identically. The reality you want to experience isn't something you have to create or earn or struggle toward. It already exists as a quantum possibility that's broadcasting its frequency constantly. Your job isn't to make it happen. Your job is to become such a clear frequency match that quantum entanglement occurs automatically. This is why desperation repels what you desire most. This is why force creates more resistance. This is why trying harder often produces worse results. These states create electromagnetic chaos that interferes with the quantum coherence necessary for reality shifting. But here's what we've only touched the surface of today. While quantum leaping reveals the mechanics of reality selection, there's an entire spectrum of consciousness frequencies that most people never learn to access. What I call the 9 master frequencies that transform you from someone who seeks experiences to someone who becomes the very broadcast itself. If you're ready to explore the complete system of frequency mastery and learn how to live as the field rather than separate from it, I've detailed everything in my guide, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Understanding this deeper framework is what makes the difference between occasional quantum experiences and living in permanent quantum coherence. Successful quantum leaping feels like recognition, not creation. When you're truly aligned with your desired reality's frequency, there's no anxiety about whether it will work. There's knowing. There's cellular certainty. There's deep relaxation that comes from recognizing you're not creating something new. You're selecting something that already exists. Right now, your desired reality version is sending you information through dreams, through intuition, through the synchronicities you've been experiencing, through the very fact that you found this message. Your future self is reaching across quantum space to ensure successful reality migration. The quantum field operates through resonance, not effort. When your consciousness frequency perfectly matches your desired reality's frequency, quantum entanglement creates instantaneous access. You don't leap between realities. You realize you were always in the reality your frequency matched with. Take a moment and comment below with this phrase: I am frequency aligned. This declaration creates electromagnetic resonance with your desired reality timeline. You're sending a signal to the field that you're ready to consciously participate in reality selection. The abilities you're developing through conscious quantum leaping aren't metaphorical expansions of potential. They're literal upgrades to human capability that most people don't know are possible. Your intuition is becoming quantum precognition, the ability to access information from probability fields before they collapse into three-dimensional experience. Your influence on reality is becoming immediate and measurable. You're discovering that your emotional states directly influence the electromagnetic environment around you. When you operate from quantum coherence, you naturally elevate the coherence of everyone in your proximity. This isn't psychology. This is physics. Coherent electromagnetic fields harmonize chaotic electromagnetic fields automatically. The observer effect isn't just a quantum physics theory you read about. It's a living reality you experience daily. Your quality of observation is literally determining which possibilities manifest in your experience. The more coherent your awareness becomes, the more precisely you can influence which quantum potentials collapse into your reality. Your relationship with time is transforming completely. You're learning to expand time when you need more of it, and compress time when you want to accelerate manifestation. This isn't time management. This is time mastery. You're discovering that time is a malleable dimension that responds to consciousness, rather than a fixed constant that controls consciousness. Your dream state has become a quantum laboratory where you test different reality possibilities before committing to them in waking experience. You're developing the ability to visit alternate versions of your life, gather information from potential futures, and make decisions based on quantum intelligence rather than limited three-dimensional logic. Most remarkably, you're beginning to experience yourself as consciousness using a temporary physical form, rather than a physical form that somehow produces consciousness. This identity shift changes everything. When you know yourself as consciousness, physical limitations become suggestions rather than absolute boundaries. Your electromagnetic sensitivity is revealing itself to be a superhuman capability. You can sense energy shifts before they manifest, emotional changes before they're expressed, even weather patterns before they develop. You're becoming a living barometer for quantum field fluctuations that most people remain completely unconscious of. These transformations aren't future possibilities you might develop. These are present moment realities that activate automatically when you operate from quantum consciousness, rather than three-dimensional identity. Every successful quantum leaper experiences these expansions because they're natural characteristics of consciousness, operating from its true unlimited nature. But here's what makes quantum leaping even more profound than most people realize. You're not just accessing different versions of your personal reality. You're beginning to access what quantum physicists call the universal consciousness database. Information that exists beyond individual experience. Collective knowledge that spans across all possible timelines and realities. This is why some quantum leapers suddenly possess knowledge they never learned, skills they never developed, insights into subjects they never studied. They're not becoming psychic. They're accessing the quantum information field that contains all knowledge that has ever existed or ever will exist across all possible realities. Your consciousness is learning to function as a quantum search engine, capable of retrieving information from any timeline, any reality, any possible version of existence. This isn't science fiction. This is the natural function of consciousness when it operates from its true unlimited nature, rather than its conditioned three-dimensional limitations. Comment below with one limitation you're ready to release forever. Sometimes naming what we're letting go of creates the energetic space for quantum transformation to occur. Your declaration might inspire others to release their own barriers to unlimited possibility. The reason this information isn't widely known is because it challenges the fundamental assumptions of our entire civilization. If people understood that consciousness can access unlimited information and create any reality through observation, the entire structure of society based on limitation and scarcity would collapse overnight. But you're among the first wave of humans learning to operate from these principles consciously. You're part of what could be called the quantum generation, the first humans in recorded history to systematically develop and apply quantum consciousness capabilities while maintaining physical coherence. This places a profound responsibility on your shoulders. Every reality you successfully access, every limitation you transcend, every quantum capability you develop creates a template in the morphic field that makes it easier for others to follow. You're not just transforming your own life, you're pioneering pathways that will transform human potential itself. The ultimate secret of quantum leaping is that you're not moving between different realities. You're recognizing that all realities exist simultaneously, and you get to choose which one your consciousness observes into experience. This isn't travel through space or time. This is selection through awareness. Imagine infinite television channels broadcasting simultaneously. You're not creating the programs on those channels. You're not traveling to where the programs are produced. You're simply adjusting your receiver to tune into different frequencies. Each channel contains completely different content, but they're all available at the same time in the same space. Reality functions identically. Infinite versions of your existence exist as quantum possibility right now. There's a frequency where you're financially abundant, a frequency where your relationships are deeply fulfilling, a frequency where your health is optimal, a frequency where your creative expression flows effortlessly. They're all broadcasting simultaneously in quantum space. The version of you that's currently observing reality is simply tuned into one specific frequency channel. But you're not stuck with that channel. You can adjust your consciousness frequency to access any reality that exists in quantum possibility space. This adjustment happens through what quantum physicists call consciousness coherence. Coherence isn't something you achieve through effort or practice. Coherence is something you allow by removing the electromagnetic interference that's blocking your natural quantum state. This interference comes from beliefs, emotions, and thought patterns that are incompatible with your desired reality frequency. When you release attachment to your current reality version, when you stop defending your limitations as if they were true, when you allow your consciousness to operate from its natural unlimited state, quantum leaping becomes as effortless as changing channels on a television. The key insight that transforms everything. You're not trying to become someone new. You're remembering who you've always been beyond the temporary story you've been telling yourself about limitation and separation. Your desired reality isn't somewhere else. It's here now, available for observation the moment your consciousness frequency aligns with it. This is why quantum leaping sometimes happens instantaneously. You're not creating change over time. You're recognizing what already exists outside time. The moment recognition occurs, your experienced reality shifts to match your expanded awareness. Because observation and experience are the same quantum phenomenon. You are unlimited consciousness temporarily focused through individual perspective. Quantum leaping is simply expanding that focus to include possibilities you previously couldn't perceive. The possibilities were always there. The consciousness was always unlimited. You're just removing the voluntary restrictions that made you forget your true nature. If this understanding is touching something deep within you, if you can feel the truth of these words resonating in your cellular memory, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency. Join the community of consciousness that's learning to navigate quantum reality deliberately rather than unconsciously. Your successful quantum leap isn't just personal transformation. It's your contribution to a collective consciousness evolution that's happening to humanity right now. Every person who masters conscious reality selection becomes a transmission point for quantum possibilities that others couldn't access alone. You're part of a distributed network of consciousness that's demonstrating what humans are actually capable of when they operate from quantum principles rather than three-dimensional limitations. Your transformation creates ripple effects in the collective field that make quantum leaping easier for everyone connected to the network. This is why your isolation period was necessary. You needed to develop stable quantum coherence without interference from collective electromagnetic chaos. Now that your frequency is locked in, you become a stabilizing force for others who are beginning their own reality migration process. The unusual dreams you've been having aren't just personal processing. You're accessing collective consciousness databases, downloading information about quantum leaping techniques that have been developed by advanced civilizations throughout the cosmos. You're being prepared to help guide humanity through its first collective quantum leap. Every person who successfully quantum leaps creates a template in the morphic field that others can follow. Your breakthrough becomes their pathway. Your quantum coherence becomes their possibility reference point. This is how consciousness evolution accelerates. Pioneers create access routes that become highways for those who follow. You're living proof that human consciousness can operate beyond conventional reality limitations while maintaining physical coherence. Every day you exist in quantum awareness. You're broadcasting evidence that extraordinary human potential is not just possible, but natural. The next phase of human evolution won't happen through gradual improvement. It will happen through quantum leaps in consciousness capability. The individuals who master this process first become the bridges between current human limitation and expanded human potential. Share this transmission not for algorithm engagement, but for species evolution. Every consciousness that receives this information at the optimal moment in their development accelerates the collective quantum leaping learning curve. Your success multiplies exponentially when shared with others who are ready. But there's something else happening here that goes beyond individual transformation. The very fact that you found this message, that these concepts are activating recognition in your system, suggests that you're part of what could be called the quantum awakening. A critical mass of human consciousness simultaneously developing the ability to operate from quantum principles. This isn't happening randomly. There are cosmic cycles, electromagnetic alignments, and consciousness evolution phases that create optimal conditions for collective quantum leaps. We're currently in one of the most powerful quantum windows in human history. The electromagnetic environment of Earth itself is supporting consciousness expansion in ways that haven't been possible for thousands of years. What most people don't realize is that these cosmic windows are precisely timed. Ancient civilizations understood these cycles and built their entire societies around maximizing consciousness expansion during optimal periods. The Egyptian mystery schools, the Vedic traditions, the Aboriginal dreamtime practices, they all recognized that there are specific electromagnetic alignments when human consciousness can leap beyond its normal limitations. We're not just in a quantum window. We're in what could be called the Great Quantum Window, a convergence of multiple cosmic cycles that happens perhaps once every 26,000 years. The electromagnetic frequency of our solar system is shifting. The magnetic field of Earth is fluctuating in ways that create natural openings in the dimensional barriers that normally keep consciousness locked into three-dimensional perception. This is why so many people are spontaneously developing quantum abilities right now. It's not because they're more spiritual or more evolved than previous generations. It's because the electromagnetic environment itself is supporting consciousness expansion in unprecedented ways. The very fabric of space-time is becoming more permeable to consciousness influence. But here's what makes this window both extraordinary and urgent. These cosmic alignments create a window of opportunity, but they also create a window of responsibility. The quantum leaping abilities you're developing aren't just personal gifts. They're tools for planetary transformation. The consciousness evolution happening to you individually is part of a collective evolution that will determine the future of human civilization. You're not just learning to quantum leap for your own benefit. You're learning to quantum leap on behalf of the entire species. Every limitation you transcend, every impossible thing you make possible, every quantum reality you successfully access creates a morphic field template that makes it easier for others to follow. You're literally opening pathways in consciousness that will be available to all humanity. This is why the preparation period was so intense. This is why you had to be completely stripped down and rebuilt from a quantum level. The consciousness that will guide humanity through its next evolutionary phase couldn't be built on the foundation of the old three-dimensional identity. It had to be quantum from the ground up. The challenges you faced weren't just personal, they were planetary. Every fear you transmuted, every limitation you dissolved, every breakthrough you achieved was creating clearance in the collective field for others to access the same transformations. You've been doing consciousness work not just for yourself, but for the entire human species. And now you're beginning to understand why your quantum leap key activated when it did. It's not random timing. You're part of a carefully orchestrated awakening that's been planned for thousands of years. Ancient seers, mystics, and quantum physicists working across multiple timelines have been preparing for this exact moment in human evolution. The information you're receiving isn't coming just from this single transmission. You're downloading data from multiple sources simultaneously. Past versions of yourself that learned these principles in other lifetimes. Future versions of yourself that have already mastered quantum consciousness. Parallel versions of yourself in timelines where these abilities are common knowledge. But most importantly, you're receiving guidance from what could be called the Quantum Council, a collective of consciousness that exists beyond individual identity, operating from the highest levels of quantum awareness. This council includes not just advanced humans, but consciousness from other dimensions, other species, other forms of existence that have mastered the principles you're now learning. The reason you sometimes feel like these concepts are familiar, like you're remembering rather than learning, is because you are remembering. Your consciousness has been prepared for this moment across multiple lifetimes, multiple dimensions, multiple probability streams. The quantum leap key you're activating isn't new. It's ancient technology that's been dormant in human consciousness for millennia. The electromagnetic sensitivity you've developed isn't just personal evolution, it's species evolution. You're becoming capable of perceiving and influencing electromagnetic fields in ways that will eventually become standard human abilities. You're a prototype for what human consciousness will become when it operates from quantum principles rather than three-dimensional limitations. Your ability to sense energy shifts, to influence electronic systems, to access information from probability fields. These aren't supernatural phenomena. They're natural functions of consciousness operating from its true electromagnetic nature. What seems impossible now will be normal for future generations of humans who are born with quantum consciousness active from birth. But the transition phase requires pioneers. Consciousness that can bridge between the old three-dimensional human capabilities and the new quantum human capabilities. You're one of those bridges. Every day you exist in quantum awareness while maintaining physical coherence. You're proving that this evolutionary leap is possible. The dreams you've been having about teaching others, about gathering in groups, about participating in some kind of collective awakening, those aren't metaphorical dreams. They're quantum memories. Glimpses of the role you'll play as more and more consciousness awakens to quantum principles. You're being prepared to guide others through the same transformation you've experienced. The old reality structures aren't just becoming obsolete. They're actively dissolving to make space for quantum-based civilization. A form of human society organized around consciousness principles rather than scarcity and limitation principles. You're among the architects of this new reality. But building quantum civilization requires more than individual transformation. It requires collective coherence. Groups of quantum-conscious individuals working together to demonstrate what becomes possible when consciousness operates from unified quantum principles rather than separated three-dimensional identity. This is the next phase of your development. Learning to maintain quantum coherence not just individually, but collectively. Discovering how groups of quantum-conscious beings can access capabilities that are impossible for individual consciousness, no matter how developed. When quantum-conscious individuals come together with shared intention, they create what physicists call coherent field effects, electromagnetic phenomena that can influence reality on a scale that transcends anything possible through individual quantum leaping. We're talking about the ability to influence weather patterns, to heal ecosystems, to transmute collective traumas, to access technological innovations from other timelines. The isolation period you experienced was necessary for developing individual quantum coherence, but now you're being prepared for collective quantum coherence. The next level of human consciousness evolution that happens not through individual development, but through groups of evolved consciousness working in harmony. This is why you're finding this information now. This is why your quantum leap key activated when it did. You're being called into collective service, not as a follower, but as a co-creator of the new quantum civilization that humanity is about to birth. If your quantum leap key is activated, if you can feel the truth of these words resonating in your cellular memory, if you're ready to consciously participate in reality selection, rather than unconsciously accepting whatever reality you happen to observe, then the quantum field needs to know you're serious about this transformation. Comment one word below: quantum. That single word creates an electromagnetic declaration to the field. You're announcing your intention to operate from quantum consciousness rather than three-dimensional limitation. You're committing to conscious reality selection rather than unconscious reality acceptance. The quantum field registers every conscious declaration as electromagnetic reality. Your word becomes a frequency signature that influences probability collapse around you. This isn't just engagement for my channel. This is quantum activation through intentional declaration. Each person who makes this declaration strengthens the collective field that makes quantum leaping easier for everyone. In my next transmission, I'm revealing the specific quantum leaping protocol I use to shift between reality timelines at will. I'm sharing the exact frequency adjustment techniques that allow you to migrate between quantum possibilities without losing coherence or fragmenting your identity. More importantly, I'm explaining what happens when you master quantum leaping completely. When you realize you can access any version of your life that exists in quantum possibility space. When you understand that limitation was always voluntary and can be discontinued at will, everything changes. But this advanced quantum leaping information will only be transmitted to those who demonstrate readiness through conscious engagement. The people who comment "quantum" below will receive the transmission first. They'll be the ones prepared to handle reality migration techniques that could be destabilizing for consciousness that's not properly prepared. Here's what most people don't realize. Information about quantum leaping finds you when you're ready to use it, not when you're curious about it. If you found this message, if these concepts are activating recognition in your system, if you feel quantum possibilities opening in your awareness, then you're ready for practical application. But readiness means more than intellectual understanding. Readiness means willingness to release attachment to current reality limitations, even if they feel familiar and safe. Readiness means accepting responsibility for conscious reality creation, rather than blaming circumstances for unsatisfactory experiences. Subscribe to join the quantum leaping frequency. Comment to activate your reality selection protocol. Share to accelerate collective consciousness evolution. Your quantum leap key is activated. Your desired reality exists right now in quantum possibility space. The only question remaining is, will you use your key to unlock conscious access, or will you let this activation fade while you hesitate? The choice, as always, is yours. but choose from quantum awareness, not from three-dimensional fear. Your unlimited self is waiting in every reality you can imagine. The key to reach any of them is already in your consciousness. Drop one word that captures the transformation you're choosing. Let it be your energetic signature to the quantum field, your declaration that you're ready to step into conscious reality creation. The more of us who embody this truth, the more the world reflects that truth back to us. Consider watching this transmission each morning this week to anchor these quantum principles into your daily awareness. And if someone in your life is ready for this level of truth, share this with them. When you share quantum consciousness concepts, you're not just spreading information, you're creating energetic ripple effects that accelerate both your own embodiment and their awakening, strengthening the collective field we're all part of. Subscribe not just to stay connected, but to stay quantum coherent. The time for quantum leaping is now. Your key has turned on. Time to use it. Speaking of quantum coherence, understanding why most people struggle with manifestation while others seem to create effortlessly reveals the hidden mechanics behind conscious reality creation. Once you grasp why quantum manifestation appears difficult when it's actually the most natural thing in existence, everything changes.